Hey everyone, it's Sean back on another video, and today we're going to be going over Ash Stage 14 or Hell Stage 2. I've been experimenting with comps, and I just wanted to see if we can get it to work. This comp is going to have no legendaries in it, so that's going to be a pretty hopeful point for a lot of you. So we're going to jump into the stats, the gear, how to build it, and all the good things about beating this stage. Let's jump into it. So here is the comp, and I'm pretty sure this is about as free-to-play friendly as you can get for Ash 14 so far. We have William and Nathalia. Fortunately, most of you are going to have Nathalia because she's free. William is going to be the outlier. If you don't have William, it's going to be very difficult to run this comp, obviously. But this is the comp. We are going to run Joseph, Santis, Nathalia, and William. And there's a lot of different things that you're going to need to get right in order for this comp to work. So we're going to jump into the gear and go over all the different speed tuning and things you want to look out for when you're going and running the comp and how it can fail. All right, so first up we have Nathalia, and this is the absolute bottleneck for this comp. This is actually a very difficult build to get. It's even more difficult than the Ice Wolf. So first off, we're going to need enough attack and crit damage in order for us to kill off the first and second waves within 2 turns. So this is the stats I managed to get. It's actually a little low. It's very, very bare minimum in regards to the stats. But this is the best I can get because we're also going to need a specific set to run with her, and I'll just go over that in a second. But we need a ton of damage. We need actually a lot of HP and defense to make sure she's surviving the hits from the Ash boss. So we're going to need this defense and HP, preferably more because she's still a little squishy for me. And then we're going to need 149 speed at the minimum. We need her to go before the boss, from my experience in this comp, in order for it to work. So we don't want her too fast because we do want her slower than William when Joseph puts the speed buff up on her, and we'll go over that in just a moment too. So these are the stats we're going to need. On top of that, we're going to be running Revival Set. So this is super, super important because this is the only way we're going to be able to survive all the different hits from the Ash boss and keep Nathalia alive. Revival Set's super, super important, and plus 15ing this helmet and the chest piece is actually very important. I was able to do it with only running a plus 12 chest piece here in Revival Set, but plus 15ing this is actually very, very helpful for getting that extra 40 defense. It's actually a massive increase to her survivability. So plus 15ing those pieces are super, super important just to keep her alive. So that's going to be Nathalia. Obviously, a lot of stat requirements for her. Next up is going to be Santis, and Santis is going to be very simple. We do want Nathalia to be the absolute slowest. We cannot have anyone slower than Nathalia. Santis here is going to be very easy to gear up. Just going to go and focus, much focus as you can get. Faster than Nathalia. It doesn't really matter where she is in the turn order too much. And then we have 22k HP, 1.1k defense. And then we have Revival Set on her, Revival Set here on Santis as well. Santis is going to be pretty easy to gear. We do want her to be very tanky, so you do need these types of stats. But as you can see, I'm running mostly plus 12 pieces, so it's not super crazy difficult to gear her out. Next up is going to be William here, and William is just going to have a ton of focus, as well as a lot of tanky stats and a ton of speed. So we're going to want him to go before Nathalia, but also before Nathalia, after Joseph puts the speed buff on her. So Joseph puts a 30 speed buff on her from Joseph Basic, which I'll show you right here. When Joseph counterattacks, he's going to apply speed up, which is the low speed up plus 30. So you can see here, if we just go back to Nathalia, she's at 149 speed, which means that plus 30 is going to put her at 179. And so you want William to go before Nathalia at 179 speed. So 181 speed is perfect here. And the reason for this is you want him to put up the counterattack buff before Nathalia goes, so that way she has that little bit of extra damage. It's not incredibly important sometimes, but it does give you that little bit of edge. So 188 speed is perfect, and it's not too difficult to gear William out here for tanky stats, speed, and focus. It's honestly not that bad. Full Revival Set, and then of course I'm running speed boots so that we can get that speed, but Revival Set on William, and then we have Joseph here at the last place in the team, and we're just going to be running high speed. We want him to go first. 166 speed is actually way more than it looks because we're getting that passive 20% increase in speed from his passive. So this is actually more like 200 speed. And then we just want tanky stats on him. It's actually helpful to have a lot of focus on him. My focus is very low here because he's a 5-star, so I needed to find the HP and defense. But you're actually going to want high focus on him, about 60-70%, because you're going to want to land the defense down, and he is going to be going first. So you're going to want high focus so you can land the spells defense down on the imps. So that's going to be the whole comp. That's going to be the stats. Obviously, if you're dying, if you're getting low, you're going to want more tanky stats. If you're not killing the imps, you're going to want more damage stats in Athalia. The speeds are there. Let's go ahead and run a run and just kind of showcase all the times that it could fail throughout the stages. And I'm just going to walk you through each part of the comp and why we need each stat. So here we are. We're going to be running defense down and Gaia's Renewal. Gaia's Renewal helps us stay alive. Defense down helps us clear out that first wave in 2 turns. That's very, very important for the speed tuning of this comp. We're going to jump into the battle. And I just want to mention, this isn't 100%, it's more like 80-85% for me, but that's still worth it because you're running only 6-star gear from the drops here. So if you're running an 80% win rate, that's still better than running a 100% win rate on stage 12, because who cares about the speed? This is already very quick, and you're going to get all 6-star gear, as I mentioned, so very, very important. So you can see here, we're going to run Joseph first, into the buffs, into defense down, into William, into Santis, and then Nathalia is going to go ahead and clear out everyone here with a double ultimate. Now, if you're not clearing out everyone on the double ultimate here, it's going to be a fail. You absolutely need to be clearing out this wave with the double ultimate from Nathalia. Second wave goes, and you can see there, Joseph basic, and it puts a speed buff on Nathalia, but William's still going before her, which, as I mentioned before. And then here, if you're not clearing out all the little side ads, rather than just the imp, with the ultimate up from Nathalia, again, it's going to be a fail. But if you're beating that first stage, you should have no problem beating this second stage or second wave here. Now, you also need to make sure that you're killing off this imp without William landing his defense down, because he does have an 80% chance to land that defense down. If he doesn't land it and you don't clear the imp on that turn, you're going to mess up your speed tune yet again. So you can see here, my Joseph got resisted on the defense down on the boss. That's actually going to be perhaps very important here. It may end up leading to a fail. We'll see. But the defense down on the boss is very important to make sure we're getting as much damage as possible. Ascension 5 Santis is pretty much crucial for this one. You want to make this run as short as possible. Otherwise, you're going to end up start to die off. Your revival sets aren't going to make enough healing for you to survive all the turns that the Ash is hitting on you. And then we can see here, we're just going through and we're killing off the boss just as normal. Now, I do want to mention that you are going to need substantial damage stats, not only to clear that first wave, but to make sure to clear off the imps that are going to spawn here in just a second. And one of the ways you're going to fail here is when Nathalia goes, you'll see in just a second when the Ash boss spawns his imps. The new mechanic for 13 and 14, or Hell Stage 1 and 2, is that when the imps spawn, if they get a turn, they're going to immediately use all of their attacks. So you can see here, all the imps are spawned. So if we don't kill them this round, the imps are going to hit us. So what we need here is Nathalia to clear out all the imps, preferably on this stage, or on this round. And you can see here, we're not going to have enough buffs necessarily oftentimes to clear out all the imps. You need 4 buffs to hit everyone, and if Joseph doesn't counterattack before Nathalia goes, or Nathalia doesn't put up another buff on herself, you're not going to have enough buffs to go ahead and clear out all those imps. So in this scenario, you're going to need enough tankier stats to survive 2 AoE hits from 2 of the imps, because that's how many imps are going to survive, and then you're going to have to clear out the imps, obviously, on the following round. So that is one massive way that this team is kind of RNG dependent. And the way you counteract the RNG element of that part is to make sure that your characters are tanky enough to survive those hits, either with agility to make sure you're deflecting every time, or just other HP and defense to make sure you survive. Really, it all matters about Nathalia, because Santis, Joseph, and William are very easy to keep alive. It's really all about your Nathalia, and getting the correct damage stats, correct speed, 100% crit rate, as well as getting enough tanky stats in a revival set is very, very difficult to do. And this last wave of imps is not going to matter at all, because the poisons are going to finish off the boss. So that's going to be the run and how it all works. And hopefully that gives you some insight on how all the comp works out and making sure that you're going to be winning every time. Again, as I mentioned, Ascension 5 Santis is very, very important. Ascension 6 Nathalia is honestly going to be probably a necessity to get the stats that you need. Other than that, you can keep Joseph at 5 stars. You can keep William at 5 stars. You can even keep Santis at 5 stars. It's not necessarily important. If you don't need the tanky stats, you don't need them at 6 stars. Only Nathalia here is the real crucial part to this comp. She is the one that's massively difficult to gear. You need, as I mentioned, all those different stats on Nathalia to make it work. So that's going to be the run, and we only didn't get, or we got resistance piece. Hopefully that was attack percent, and that would have been a good piece. But that's going to be the run. It's no legendaries, so hopefully that's easier for many of you to build out. And that'll be it for this one. Let me know if you want to see more of these Hell Stage videos, because I know a lot of you aren't going to be able to complete them, but I figured I'd put one out there because it is new content, and we are completing it and figuring it out all together right now. So that'll be for this one, and I'll see you for the next one.